Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to review Beau Is Afraid, the new Ari Aster
Beau Is
film.
Afraid.
Got my Blu-ray copy right here. That's what we watched it on. Are you ready to talk about this movie? Are you prepared to talk about this film?
You know, I've had a little bit of time to process this movie, which
Yeah.
I think it does require you to do.
You do need a little time to process this one. You also need to go into this movie with an open mind, which I do believe that we did. We had a plan for this movie. We
Yeah.
said we're going to watch this movie in 2 days, and we executed that plan. But look, before we get into talking about it, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about movies and TV and all that kind of stuff on this channel. If you like that kind of thing, hit the subscribe button. And then,
And don't be like Beau. Don't be afraid to like the video.
oh, that was a good one. I like that. Yes, don't be afraid to like the video. And then leave us a comment down below. This is, I don't know if you know, this is a very divisive movie.
I didn't know that.
People either love it or they hate it. And when I say they love it, like there are people that are saying like this is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah.
It's getting that kind of conversation, as is, I feel like a lot of Ari Aster films do. But yeah, where do you want to start with this?
Oh man, I definitely was interested in seeing it. Obviously, we didn't make it to the theater to see it. Some of that kind of had to do with the length of the movie. It is 3 hours long.
Yeah, I don't know how this would have landed for me if we saw this in theaters all in one sitting.
Yeah,
to be honest.
so for sure. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. I'm just going to go ahead and say, though, and I think you know this, but I really overall enjoyed this movie a lot.
Yeah.
You know, obviously from the title, Beau Is Afraid, to me, this was at the surface level about someone who like has anxiety, who has a lot of like mental health problems that kind of stem from childhood, and you know, it's a lot all in one. It's
Mommy issues.
Mommy issues, yeah. And so I'm all for those like kind of mental health movies, and so this one just really resonated with me. So.
Yeah, I mean it's personal to you as well, and I mean if you struggle with anxiety, I don't know how this movie will land with everybody, because we were into it, and you know you're somebody that suffers from anxiety. I was like, is this something that's going to make that worse for you, or is this something that you know is going to, are you going to be okay with this? And you said something that kind of resonated with me. You're like, no, this kind of makes me feel seen, which I think is important. You know, we talk about representation in film, whether that's, you know, the your race or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to have representation of everything, mental health and
I think
all kinds of different things.
Yeah, for me, you know, he kind of has like almost like a little bit of hypochondria going on. You kind of see that. I don't know, like one of the opening scenes is him like sitting with a therapist, and he's, you know, telling his therapist that he accidentally swallowed some mouthwash, and he was like, is that going to give me cancer?
Yeah.
And so I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac myself, just going to throw that out there. And so, you know, I always kind of assume the worst and think of the worst. And so when I heard him say that, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to love this movie.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, this movie, I feel like it's kind of 2 parts.
It is, yeah.
And we pretty much like unintentionally broke it up that way. We didn't know that it was going to be like that, but we kind of watched the first half of the movie, and I was just like kind of like mesmerized by all of it. You know, I really loved it. And then we kind of got to the second half of it, and it took a really hard turn.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I didn't still like it, but it was very different. And, you know, it kind of took it down a little bit for me, because it kind of went a little too...
It went very extreme into the surrealism.
Yeah.
Whereas the first half of this movie, I think this entire movie is surrealism.
Okay.
From the beginning to the end. I don't, and this is just the way I interpret it. I'm not saying this is what it is, but I don't think any of this movie's real.
Okay.
But it definitely takes a more extreme approach in portraying that in the last half of the movie than it does the first.
Well, you think it's real, but you think that everything's exaggerated,
I think
right?
that, yes, some of the things are happening, but they're exaggerated and they're
because
twisted
of the way that he
inside
is.
of his head.
Yeah.
As to how he's viewing them. But what Ari Aster does with this movie, and he wrote and directed this movie as he did, Midsummer and Hereditary as well, is he never lets you know, like the entire time, like what's real and what's not. You're just left to interpret this throughout the entire runtime of the film, which is very jarring. And I can completely understand somebody going into this and watching it and being like, no, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I could ever recommend this movie to anybody. But I will say that I did enjoy it a lot. I thought that the themes and the messaging was definitely clear. I got what Ari Aster was going for, what he was trying to say here, which is a big problem that I had with Midsummer. I didn't.
It wasn't as easy to follow, like what the message was.
Yeah, and it was just even when I got what the message was, I felt like I was beat over the head with it, and it just wasn't a message that I guess jived with all the way. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, it's so many things wrapped into one as far as having, he has this anxiety, and you without like spoiling too much, I mean, you pretty much know that it kind of stems from his mother. And so, that too, like really resonated with me because my mom also suffers with anxiety. And, I have some brothers who also suffer with it. And she always kind of like blames herself, for us having it. And so, man, I don't know, the person who played her, she's played by two different people. She's got a younger version and an older version, but
she was played by Patti LuPone.
Yeah. I mean, there were
some. How do you pronounce her name?
Really hard scenes to watch with Joaquin Phoenix and her.
Pretty much like almost the entire like third act of the movie is them two.
Like, and I mean, I haven't even talked about Joaquin Phoenix yet. Like, I mean, to me, I don't know what it is, but I was telling you as we were watching it, I feel like he doesn't even have to try.
He doesn't.
Like
he's always interesting.
He's just so effortlessly. Like, I was just totally captivated, and I don't know what it is. Like, did you sympathize with him in this movie? Because I don't know if I did, just because I know what it feels like to have, like, anxiety and stuff. But just, like, watching him, it almost felt like I knew him.
Yeah.
And just the way, he was just this really kind of quiet, timid, just almost sweet person. Yeah. The first half, is like, I feel like it's pretty direct and, easy to follow. And then it kind of just totally flips to almost like I don't even know what you call it, like a stage play.
We cut it off like right when he gets in the forest, and then after that's when all that you've seen it in the previews. It like transforms into like this stage play type, almost animated scene.
It wasn't quite animated, it just became much different, and I still enjoyed it. But then, as we get to like the end, I'm just going to say there's this very big moment in the attic. And I was just like, so like, it definitely was like, what the F, but like, it was a little too silly for me. And so it kind of knocked it down a little bit for me. I didn't love that part.
There's symbolism everywhere here. And I'm sure that there's all kinds of videos on YouTube.
Yeah, I wish that they had, like, I get it. But I wish that they had like chosen something different to represent.
Well, that's kind of Ari Aster's style. He indulges a lot in all of his impulses, it feels like. And this movie was, like I said when we were watching it, was supposed to be 4 hours long.
Yeah, I know.
But even A24 said, no, we can't do that. We want to get this in the theaters. We can't do 4 hours.
Yeah.
So they had to cut it down to 3. But I will say, speaking to the runtime, I felt like the runtime was, we talked about the runtime not being necessary. I felt like with this movie, it was necessary.
Okay.
And I didn't feel like any moment was really wasted. It may not be your type of movie to want to sit with for 3 hours, but I felt like every scene and every moment was necessary to tell this particular story. Mm-hmm. And I was never really bored. I never really felt disengaged. And a lot of that did have to do with, Joaquin Phoenix's incredible performance. I mean, he just kept me in it the whole time.
I'm just going to be honest. I thought that you hated it.
No. I didn't hate it. I'm not going to say that I overwhelmingly love it. Mm-hmm. It may be one that, I don't know when I'm going to watch this movie again. Yeah. Probably not for a long time, but it may be one that I grow to love over time. But
well, also, can we just talk about like how awesome it looked?
Oh, it's
Like
a
it was
beautiful movie, yeah.
Yeah, especially when they got to the like kind of stage play stuff. I mean, I was just like again mesmerized by all of the
That's
colors.
never been
And
Ari Aster's problem. He's always been
yeah,
brilliant behind the camera and been able to set up shots, and cinematography's always looked excellent and beautiful, even in a movie I
yeah.
didn't like Midsummer.
I will say though, I do feel like I took something from this movie.
Yeah.
As far as just like that passing of generational like trauma and stuff. Like it really, and I mean, I've always thought this, but it really made me think like, man, like I do not want to mess my kids up.
Yeah.
It's
It
tough.
felt like a very personal story. Like this movie felt like Ari Aster had something inside of him that he had to get out.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if he's got mommy issues or something's going on with him and his parents or whatever. But this felt very personal, deeply personal, and you felt that through the screen.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I know I really enjoyed the movie. I like this direction that Ari Aster's going in. He did the first movie he did was Hereditary, which is very much a horror film, and I love it. And I think it's a horror masterpiece. He followed that up a year later with what a lot of people would say is another horror masterpiece. I would not. I think it felt like a spoof of Hereditary almost to me. It was just too over the top with its comedy, but I dug this vibe because this is not a horror movie. Don't go into this expecting that it's a horror movie at all. It's a very, I don't know exactly what you would call this, but it's almost like a dark fantasy comedy type movie.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different things, but it's not a horror film. There are horrific scenes and images and imagery, but it's not a horror film. So I like this direction. If he can keep this up and maybe do something else like this or change it up altogether again, I think I'd be satisfied with Ari Aster going forward.
Okay. All right. Well, are you ready to rate it?
Yeah. Let's give it a score. I'll let you go first.
Oh man, I really want to give it a 4.5. I do, but I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. I think I might have to give it a 4.
Okay, I'll see. I kind of was leaning on 3.5, but I feel like I said a lot more positive things about it than I did negative. I'll give it a 4 too, because I do think there's a lot of value in this film, and I do think that's important. Look, Ari Aster, I was ready to throw him away as a director, and he brought me back, and now I'm on board for whatever he does next. So
Yeah.
I'll give him a 4 for this movie, Beau Is Afraid.
All right.
But that's our review. Let us know in the comment section below what you thought of this movie. I'm sure a lot of people have different opinions on it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Of course, it's on VOD. It just came out on Blu-ray, so you can check it out now at your home. You don't have to go spend money to go see it in theaters. But appreciate y'all watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications for future videos. We'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.